First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus, to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming, the Sakya Kong, to the 16th Dharma King Karmapa, and Master Thubten Dorje. Homage to the three jewels of the altar, and homage to the main deity of Homa today, Mahamayuri Vidyarajni. Sumo, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, temple directors, all disciples present here and over the webcast, and our guest of honors today. Let me recite it. From Republic of China, Taiwan, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Secretary General Daniel Liao for the Coordination Council of North American Affairs, and Madam Liao. Accountant of the True Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa and her husband Larry. Snohomish County Fire Commissioner, Mr. and Mrs. Chen. And Dr. Zhuang. And special guest, Sujia Goying. A special guest, Dr. Zhou Heng. And Dr. Lin. And the pharmacist Xu Hongchun. And the professors groups of True Buddha School, Professor Yo and Professor Ye. And the PR director of Taiwan Lichang Temple, Dharma Brother Fermi Wang. And the producers for the Geni Gensang Shinten from CTI TV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca Xu. From Seng Yan Lu Foundation, Dr. Lu Fo Qing and Andy. And from Seng Yan Lu Foundation, the director Dexter Ke. And DPP party from Taiwan, legislator Cai Chi-chang's representative, Ms. Chen. And from Academia Sinica, Professor Zhu and Mrs. Zhu. Our special guest, Dr. Zhu Yehui. And from Hong Kong Chinese University, the Culture and Religion Research Department, Professor Tam. And from National Cheng Kung University, Professor Wang. And from Dongwu University, the Doctor of Law, Professor Lu. Our special guests, Ms. Lu Yujie, Lu Yixin, and Mr. Lu Zhesheng. And attorneys to the True Buddha Foundation, Mr. Luo and Ms. Huang. And a notable businessman from Hong Kong, Mr. and Mrs. Kenny Loy, a photographer from England, my brother Tony Chow, from UAE, the Greenfield Group, royal family member, Miss Lin Kun Yin, and the consultant to the Greenfield Group, Mr. Randy Young. And the Jindong Investment Company from Vancouver, Mr. Jin. Everyone, good afternoon. How do you do? Time. Today we had the Homa offering of Mahamayuri Vidyarajni, and you all know how she looks. She has 4 arms. One hand is holding the peacock feather. One hand is holding a white lotus blossom. One hand is holding a red Bijapura fruit, a red fruit, and the other hand is holding a yellow or orange auspicious fruit. So 4 arms riding on a peacock on a lotus seed. So Mahamayuri Vidyarajni was transmitted in Seattle. In Taiwan Lechang Temple? No. Well, I also had taught it in Taiwan Lechang Temple. At that time, when I was transmitting that in Taiwan, the ceremony was outdoor and it was under the sun, not like today. At that time, I told Mahamayuri that it is really hot under the sun, and it was really hot, sunny day. And I hope that the 2 wings of Mahamayuri can block the sun. And sure enough, that from down below the mountain, you could see that there are 2 pieces of clouds right above the Taiwan Lechang Temple, and the rest are sunny. So Mahamayuri is really responsive, and one hand is holding the peacock feather that has the function of subjugation, and the red fruit is for magnetization, and then the yellow auspicious fruit is to increase your good fortune and merits, and the white lotus is to eradicate karma and to guide the Bardo spirits to be reborn into the Western paradise. We know that Mahamayuri's origin is from Vairocana Buddha. So what she's wearing on the top of her crown is the crown of Vairocana Buddha. And in the minor Amitabha Sutra, it was written that there are peacocks and many other birds, Kalivinka. So that's why this Mahamayuri is related to Amitabha Buddha and also Sakyamuni Buddha, because in one of his past lives, Sakyamuni Buddha had been the king of peacocks. So the Peacock King. So the peacock from Sakyamuni Buddha and the crown of Vairocana Buddha and the peacock of Amitabha Buddha. So this deity is the combination of these three deities, is one with the greatest power. And she has lots of family members or assembly, including the 7 Buddhas, the 7 past Buddhas, past 7 Buddhas. So above, and then on this side would be Sariputra, Moggallana, Ananda, and then the Sravakas here underneath the heavenly realms, Yaksas, all the heavenly realms, and then the 28 planetaries, constellations, and they're all around Mahamayuri. So when you pay homage to Mahamayuri, you should recite Namo, the great Mahamayuri, and here your assembly. That would include everyone. The mudra, it's like this, and this is a flying peacock, or the inward mudra. This is the closed down peacock. That's the mantra, and the syllable is mo. So she has this look and mudra and mantra. So this would comprise the complete Mahamayuri yoga practice. And the mudra represents the purity of the body, and visualization represents the purity of the mind, and mantra recitation represents the purity of the speech. So when you use your body, speech, and mind to practice, that would comprise the deity yoga practice. So in our VIPs, as I saw, California for small girls, they are also special guests. So we have transmitted Mahamayuri practice before. We all are familiar with it. Like Secretary General Liao mentioned earlier that True Buddha School received lots of awards and recognitions, and that's encouragement from the government and the officials. So Secretary General or Ambassador Liao is a very special tantric practitioner that in a very short period of time of 1 year, he was able to practice until his body is like the great earth, as robust and as strong as the great earth. And then he could focus his chi and the inner fire can rise in place of the inner fire. And he was able to see all kinds of lights, a royal blue light, the lights of the Vajra chain, and he could even practice until he is non-leaking. He doesn't leak. And every day he could practice. So he is a real good witness that in 1 year as a Tantrika, he could confirm that True Buddha Dharma is really official and very practical. So when he focused at the brow point, he could see a royal blue light. Now, that keys are different, all different kinds, and also Vajra chain. In a very short time of 1 year, without great affinity, it is impossible to have such success. So he must have cultivated in his past life. So all of the ones wearing the 5 Buddha crowns, maybe they didn't tell me. Maybe they also reach high state. But of course, in a basket of apples, there are a few rotten ones. There are many good apples, but there are some that are rotten. Of course, we cannot say that all wearing the 5 Buddha crowns are sages and they are all siddhas or ones with attainments. I saw good ones there at the Mahadabha Lotus Ponds in Western Paradise. I only saw 2 good masters that already have their lotus seats there. One from PTT, Puthi Lechang Temple of Vancouver, Master Lien Wen. I truly saw Master Lien Wen has a lotus seat there. And the other one is a traveling monk. And just carrying a backpack and travel, which is the senior monk of True Buddha School. Do you know who he is? Master Changzi. That at the Mahadabha Lotus Pond, he already has a lotus seat there. Look at his Buddhist bag. You don't see anything. On top, it's written, "To be born into the Buddha land." I saw his bag has this writing on it, "Be reborn into the Western Paradise." Of course, there are many more that I did not see. But I saw of our True Buddha School masters, and I cannot say the name because we want to spread goodness and hide the negative sides. We only talk about the positive sides. There is a master that is still alive now, but his name has been carved in hell. I saw one. I guaranteed that I saw it, that there was a name that's carved really deep in hell, that it would be really, really difficult for him or her to surpass that, to be free from that hell. Of course, when they're the positive, there would be the negative. You know, as a tree, one tree, when you have big tree, of course there are some dead branches. And when we have a big tree, of course there are some falling trees, falling leaves and branches that fall off and broke apart. That's a definite thing. So what I saw, that person is still wearing the 5 Buddha crown. But in hell, his name is carved there, not get out of it forever. So it is like the infinite hell that you cannot get out of. So this cultivation path is not easy to walk on. As yesterday I said, that we need to have a clean masters. That's really hard. Therefore, fame and gain, and also for sex. So masters or grandmaster too is just a human being. So of course they would have mistakes and transgressions. But if you know you have made mistakes and you can correct yourself, you can transform the great evil into great virtues. I hope that all the Dharma propagators, upon hearing this, that all the disciples would be forewarned that cultivation path is not easy to walk on, that real practice is important all your life, because everything else in this life, nothing exists. I often say this. Look at the name, say, of ex-President Apien. Now he has no more position or status. That was the highest position in Republic of China, Taiwan. So his name was high and it's now gone. So money that has lots of money, like Mr. Wang Yongqing, if after he died, he has lots of money, but he cannot bring it with him at all, not even a cent. And then beauties, all the beautiful ladies that we see now are the experienced or older beauties. This husband would not pursue her because she was a beauty, and now she's also considered an age beauty. So beauties or looks don't stay forever. Also name and gain also don't stay forever. Your houses, lands, and your gold, silvers, all the jewels, they don't stay forever. the real estate property in Chinese, it's called the immovable property. But although they're immovable, but actually they could move because when there's earthquake, it would move. The four great ladies of California, Dharma Sister Linda often told a joke that in Sichuan, when there was an earthquake, in a tall building, there were four elderly ladies playing mahjong, and there was this earthquake. So the ladies opened the windows and said, "Don't worry, all four of us together playing mahjong. Don't worry, because everywhere it's moving. So don't worry, let's continue playing the cards." So the immovable property still move. In Taiwan, these things happen. This mountain is mine. After earthquake, this mountain moved to somebody else's property. My land moves to other people's property or boundary. So the whole mountain moved, and you lose your land. So the real estate property in Chinese is called the immovable property, is also gone. So spiritual cultivation is the most important and the greatest point or meaning in our life. We have to go to the Pure Land. Now let's talk about the Great Perfection Dharma. That Sakyamuni Buddha received the Dharma lineage transmission of the Tathagata heart seal from Po Xian Samantabhadra Tathagata to be able to give Dharma teachings in the Saha world. So he taught Sutric, Tantric Dharma teachings expounded on the three divisions of subduing your own afflictions, attaining all the sutras, and counterpoise, counterbalancing all your habitual tendencies. That with respect to the mantra school of Tantrayana, he spoke on the outer tantra, the conduct tantra, and the yoga tantra. That Sakyamuni Buddha bestowed the teachings of 21,000 ways of subduing to allay desire and afflictions, the teachings of 21,000 sutras to allay the afflictions due to anger and hatred, the teachings of 21,000 counterpoise Dharma to allay the afflictions due to foolishness and delusion. Also the teachings of 21,000 ways of the fourth store to allay the three poisons. That Sakyamuni Buddha in his past lives had practiced bodhisattvahood, and eventually he received the Dharma lineage transmission of Tathagata heart seal. So does Sakyamuni Buddha have lineage? Yes. So it is the real serene or Tathagata heart seal lineage. Now I see Ho Ching and Andy. They're here. They were seated on the door earlier. No, that's just joke. Someone went to the advisor of Seng Yen Lu Foundation went to a printing shop, and they misprint. So advisor in Chinese is Kung Wen, and the character is missing like some strokes, and it would sound the door. So it sounds like the door guard. So you were seated there, so you just become the guards to the door. So in America, whatever you do, you need to pay attention. If you apply for something to be given in a normal way, you should be very happy, because that's very rare, because it is always abnormal. You know, the efficiency in America, if it is normal, it is abnormal. Because throughout the procedure, there would be mistakes along the way. That would be normal. So when we applied for green card, I submitted the application form to the lawyer today, and he sent it through the normal mail to Washington, D.C., and it would take 7 days go and 7 days come. But I received the green card in 11 days. And the lawyer said, that's impossible, because Master Lian Ho, Lian 4个年组 are here. So the lawyer sent my application form to Washington, D.C., but I received the green card in 11 days. You know, in the normal way, with the normal post, it would take 14 days to go and back. But interestingly, and the lawyer said that typically it would take 3 months to receive your green card. But it is very, very strange, very interesting to receive it in 11 days. So my letter would take 7 days to arrive. It should have been placed at the bottom, but instead it was placed on top. So the officer approved it and sent it back right away. And he added a stamp, so it flew here. So that's why I was able to receive the card in 11 days. But the address was wrong. My address in ballot is 7573, but it's wrote 7679. Mine was last. But the good thing, the postman recognized me. And he said, Sung Yen Lu should be who? And then he brought it to me. See, the address was wrong. They wrote 7679, but there was no such address. So we got several green cards for Ching's, for Chi's, Simu's, and mine. And the names and the birth dates were all wrong. And we don't know whether the resident numbers are right or not, because we cannot check. But everything else were wrong. And I knew that in America, people make lots of mistakes. So I copy all my application forms that when we test for the citizenship, finally we passed. And prior to passing, the examiner checked my file and apologized to me. Oh, you cannot take the test. Why? Because your file is gone, completely gone. Oh no. But I knew that would happen, so I took all my copies, and then they said, oh, you're prepared? Of course. And then he checked on it, and then we passed. And the swearing was it's still happening, so they could take it. They still make it, and then they can go to Taiwan. Oh, there are lots of things you cannot say because this is America. It's not good to talk too much about it. So that was just a joke. So spiritual cultivation, it's important that you walk the correct path. Then you would gain the correct fruition. So Sakyamuni Buddha received the Dharma lineage transmission of the Tathagata heart seal, and that is the correct transmission. And then he gained enlightenment, and he gained the correct fruition. So we have many awakened ones here, although you have been awakened or gained enlightenment, but your conduct and behavior do not comply. And you have to comply. If you don't look like the enlightened ones, then I don't dare to say anything. So Sakyamuni Buddha, after receiving the Dharma lineage transmission of Tathagata heart seal from Proshen Tathagata, he propagated Dharma teaching in the world. So he taught Sutric and Tantric Dharma teachings expounded on the three divisions of the subduing, sutras, and counterpoise. Let me share a joke. My girlfriend left me, and the other person said, well, this idiom that means there are many flowers around. Why are you worried about one flower? You'll forget about her soon. And the other man said, oh, it's impossible to forget her. And why? Because all the gifts I give her were on credit. So every time I received the bill, I would think of, I would remember her. So you cannot kill the weed by taking the root. So you cannot keep the strings attached. You need to cut it off cleanly. So in terms of Buddha Dharma, it's very easy to cut off all afflictions and miseries. As I said before, under the Bodhi tree, of course, Maharaj manifested some scenes for him to see. He saw Devadatta and his wife Yasudhara went to the motel, and motel in Taiwan are pornographic. In America, it's okay, but in Taiwan, they're for those kind of problematic thing. Reverend Lily, is she here? Please stand up. What was the name of that motel that you stayed in? Motels, oh yeah. The name of the room is the city of desire. Sit down. And on the tables, bedside tables, they place the safety that XX. And she turned on the television, and oh my gosh. For the Shanghainese, how do you say that? Reverend Lily is from Shanghai. You forgot? That's you know, Sakyamuni Buddha saw his wife Yasudhara and Devadatta in the motel. As a mundane being, of course, your heart would be broken and churned. But Sakyamuni Buddha was totally unmoved, very serene. So he passed the test because he had gone beyond desire, and also love for his family has been transcended. So in order to achieve the Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, the highest enlightenment, you need to pass this kind of test. There was a general that wanted to become a monk, and after taking a look, I said, General, how many wives do you have? 3. Which one do you love best? The third one. Why don't you go home now, right now? You know, by your coming here, your third wife is already and he stood up and about to leave, and I asked, so weren't you about to shave your head to become a monk? No, let me go home first. Long ago, when Jesus was teaching, someone wanted to follow him and stood by him for a long time. And Jesus asked him, what are you doing? I want to follow you forever. And Jesus said, okay, follow me from now on. But that person said, but my father died. He has to take care of his father's funeral. And then Jesus said, let the dead person takes care of the death issues. You follow me. But that person said, no, let me take care of it first. Jesus said, let the dead person take care of the dead. So this person does not have enough merits to follow Jesus. To follow, you need to let go of everything. If you cannot let go, then you cannot follow. There is this dialogue in the Bible. So let the dead person take care of the dead. This was spoken by Jesus Christ. In order to follow, you need to let go everything. Otherwise, don't follow. In order to truly follow, you need to let go of everything. And Sakyamuni Buddha let go of everything. So Sakyamuni Buddha could transcend and could receive the transmission of Tathagata heart seal. The old mosquito spoke to the young mosquito. You know, ladies these days are wearing so little, so you're really fortunate. And the little mosquito said, oh no, that's just the service. Because these young mosquitoes died because when they sting, that all they get is silicone and not blood. And they died right away. So lots of young mosquitoes already died from that. Even death, or even eating is a kind of desire. To maintain our health as a tantrika, we need to eat, but you need to eat what is nutritious and good for your health. But if you eat unhealthy food or too much, then that's not allowed. So the Tathagata heart seal transmission. So food is also a temptation. So after the lineage transmission, he was able to give teachings in the world to subdue or allay all your afflictions, including your greed, desire, anger, hatred, foolishness, delusion, ignorance, all obstructions. If you're too greedy, that's also, or if you're angry, why? Because when you don't get it, you get angry. And then delusion, ignorance, you don't know what's good, what's bad. And you want for yourself and you don't give. You don't give happiness, you give other people sufferings. You don't like to do good deeds. And you're discriminating against other people. That means you're not subdued. Then you don't comply to the sutras for the worldly or outer worldly. And then the third part is the counterbalance. So all these three are all non-enlightenment practices. So if you can counterbalance it, that means it is good. Technology in this world now is incredible. There's an analogy. An American, a Japanese, and an Indian, and they're comparing to each other. And the American, the arm is ringing, and then he push on it. And our technology is so advanced that we can just insert a chip inside our arm, and it becomes a transmitter. And then the Japanese palm is ringing, and he placed the palm, placed it on his ear, and started to speak in Japanese. And the rest of the people, very surprised. And the Japanese said, "This is our new technology, and we just insert a chip inside our palm, and then that would be like our cell phone. You don't need to carry your cell phones anymore. You can speak with your palm." And the Indians are very self-conscious, and they went to the bathroom because he wasn't careful. There was still a piece of tissue on his butt. And the American and Japanese asked, "What is this?" And the Indian said, "Oh, that's a fax. That was faxed to my butt." You need to understand and comprehend that everybody is comparing, competing. You compete against each other. So when I form mudras, it's like playing the putai. It's like the puppet show, you know. So you need to see the world as if you're watching a movie. Because Sakyamuni Buddha knows that it is just a movie. So he make himself an audience. Only someone that can comprehend this, then you can allay yourself. You don't want to become the characters inside the movie, but you want to be the audience. And if you comprehend everything about the world, then you can transcend the world. So Sakyamuni Buddha, after receiving the Dharma lineage transmission of Tathagata, heart seal of Boshin Tathagata, he needs to understand everything about the world. And after the comprehension, he can transcend the world. And by transcending the world, that is the true understanding of the mind and seeing the Buddha nature. Someone said that Grandmaster's empowerment doesn't comply to the Buddhist law because he used banners. Because in Tantrayana, in Tibetan Tantrayana, they need to set up a sand mandala. Why? It's to set up an altar. The sand mandala is like an altar. To confer the empowerment of Mahamayuri, you need to first build a Mahamayuri sand mandala according to the rules, the practice, and then invoke the deity to the mandala, and then get the empowerment water from the sand mandala, and then confer the empowerment. That would be lawful, Buddhist lawful. But through Buddha's school, for the Kriya Tantra that's been done, and then Charya Tantra also has been done, and Grandmaster has reached the Yoga Tantra, which is Grandmaster has achieved yogic response or spiritual response with the deity, so Grandmaster can treat his body as the mandala. So Grandmaster's empowerment complies to the Buddhist law. Because as you saw during the Homa earlier, Mahamayuri and all her assembly entered into my body. So she could use my body as the altar. So this can be achieved once you have a yogic response with the deity. So that means you have entered into the Yoga Tantra. And then there were Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, Yoga Tantra, and highest Yoga Tantra. And Grandmaster has achieved the 3rd and 4th level. So in Yoga Tantra, you can use your own body as the mandala to confer empowerments. So Grandmaster, by empowering the banners, the empowerment banners, that Mahamayuri, the intangible Mahamayuri, are seated on top of the empowerment banners, empowering everybody as they're passing by. But in Tantrayana, in Kriya Tantra and Chaya Tantra, you need to set up the Sen Mandala. But in Yoga Tantra and highest Yoga Tantra, you don't need to set up the Sen Mandala first. So these people only knew part, but they don't understand in totality. The wife kept nagging all day at home, and the husband started to feel bored. And he took a remote control and continued to press the buttons. And the wife asked, "What are you doing?" "I was trying to mute you." And he's trying to quiet her. But he did not comprehend enough that he could just walk away. So marriage may not be heavens, it may be hells. So you need to understand that when you're in hells and the other party is like this, neck and neck and neck, then all you have to do is just to go away and hide. And when the nagging stops, then you can show yourself again. That's the way to harmony. That's the worldly ways. One day, I asked the couple, "Does your wife like to talk?" And the woman said yes, and the man said, "Oh, I love hearing her talk." And I said, "Continue after marriage, then you would know." And there was another couple. "Does your wife like to talk?" "Oh, my wife is very quiet." I said, "Oh, that's rarely found. That must be a good wife. That's rarely found." So you need to comprehend the world in order to transcend the world. And the Buddha, because he comprehended what the world is about, that's why he was able to gain enlightenment, to see the Buddha nature, and to become the truly awakened one. That's all for today. Om Mani Padme Hum.